Right now, you're hungry, and you don't even have to think about it. You open a fridge, you turn a knob, fire appears, heat appears. In 10 minutes, you're eating something your ancestors couldn't have dreamed of. Now take all of that away. No fridge, no stove, no knob, no kitchen. Just your bare hands, a dead animal, and the question every early human had to answer: eat this raw and risk dying, or figure out something no species had ever figured out before. For the first 2 million years of human existence, we ate like every other animal, raw. And it was brutal. A chimpanzee, our closest living relative, spends 5 to 6 hours every single day just chewing. Not hunting, not exploring, not inventing, just sitting there, jaw working, breaking down tough fibrous plants that barely give back the energy they cost. Their guts are enormous. Their brains are tiny. And for 2 million years, that was us too, stuck, the raw food trap. Here's the problem. Raw food is hard to digest. It takes energy to break down. A gorilla eating raw leaves spends almost 60% of its daily energy just on digestion. That's energy that can't go to the brain. That's why no raw-eating animal on Earth has a brain like ours. The math doesn't work. You can have a big gut or a big brain, not both. For 2 million years, our ancestors chose gut. And if nothing changed, we'd still be in the trees chewing leaves. Then something happened. We don't know exactly when or how, but around 1.5 to 2 million years ago, long before Homo sapiens even existed, one of our ancestors stood near a wildfire and didn't run. Maybe lightning struck a dead tree on the African savanna. Maybe the grass caught. And instead of fleeing like every other animal, this early human walked toward it. That was the moment everything shifted. After the fire passed, something was different. The animals that burned in it smelled different, not like rotting meat, something richer, something that made the mouth water before the brain understood why. And when someone finally picked up a piece and ate it, that was the first cooked meal in human history. It was probably an accident, a wildfire, a dead animal caught in it, a hungry hominid willing to try anything. But that accident rewired our entire species. Cooking is chemistry. Heat breaks down proteins. It softens tough fibers. It makes starch digestible. When you cook food, you're essentially pre-digesting it outside the body. That means your body spends far less energy breaking it down. One study found that cooked meat provides 50 to 100% more usable energy than raw meat. Same animal, same calories, but cooking unlocks them. The body that ate cooked food got nearly twice the fuel from the same meal, and that changed everything biologically. Within a few 100,000 years of regular cooking, the human gut shrank dramatically. From the massive digestive factory of our raw-eating ancestors to something 40% smaller. A chimp's gut takes up most of its torso, ours is compact, efficient. All that energy that used to go to digestion went somewhere else, to the brain. The human brain is the most expensive organ in the body. It uses 20% of your energy while being only 2% of your weight. A raw diet simply cannot sustain a brain this big. Our ancestors' brains tripled in size from about 400 cubic centimeters to over 1,300. And the timing matches. Brain expansion accelerates sharply right around when cooking becomes widespread. The fire didn't just cook food, it cooked us into existence. You can see the evidence in your own face. Chimps and gorillas have massive jaw muscles, huge teeth, ridges on their skulls to anchor chewing muscles. Early humans had them too. Then, around the time cooking took hold, all of that shrank. Softer food meant we didn't need those giant chewing muscles anymore. The jaw got smaller, the teeth got smaller, even the face got flatter. Your small jaw, your relatively flat face, that's the signature of a cooked food species. And here's something nobody talks about. When you're not spending 6 hours chewing, you have time. Free time. A chimpanzee's day is eat, chew, sleep, repeat. But a hominid who'd eaten a calorie-dense cooked meal by the fire now had hours with nothing to do but think, talk, and look at the stars. That free time, that space between meals, that's where human culture was born. The fire became the center of everything. People gathered around it. not just to eat, but to be together. And that gathering created something no other species has. Around that fire, language evolved because now there was something to talk about: the hunt, the day, the plans for tomorrow. The fire extended the day past sunset. Instead of going dark when the sun went down, people sat in the firelight and told stories. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherers found something remarkable. Daytime conversation is practical, about hunting, gathering, logistics, but nighttime conversation around the fire? That's different. That's when the stories come out, the myths, the songs, the tribe's history. Firelight creates a circle creates intimacy, and intimacy created the conditions for complex language, for passing knowledge across generations, for culture itself. Fire needed protection. If the fire went out, you couldn't just strike a match. You had to find another fire, from lightning, from a neighboring tribe, from a wildfire, or wait. So someone had to stay awake. The firekeeper, probably the first specialized job in human history. While others slept, one person sat by the flames, feeding it, watching it, keeping the tribe's most precious resource alight. That job meant someone was trusted. It meant responsibility. It meant society. Cooking also changed relationships. In most primate groups, food is competitive. You grab what you can and eat fast before someone takes it. But cooking is different. Fire creates a central place where food is prepared and shared. It takes time. Someone hunts, someone gathers, someone cooks. That created interdependence. Some anthropologists argue cooking is what created the human pair bond, the hunting male bringing meat to the gathering female who cooks it. The first dinner date was around a fire. Before cooking, early humans were like all primates. They moved constantly, ate where they found food, slept where night caught them. But fire is fixed. You can't carry a fire easily from place to place. So cooking created the first home base, a place you return to, a place you protect, a place that's yours. The concept of home, your kitchen, your living room, your family gathered at the end of the day, it all traces back to that first campfire. And now look at us. Your ancestors spent 2 million years figuring out how to unlock energy from food with fire, heat, and patience. They hunted mammoths. They guarded flames through freezing nights. They built entire societies around the simple act of making food safe to eat. And you get annoyed when the microwave takes more than 90 seconds. You complain about your meal delivery being 10 minutes late. Bro, your great times 1,000. Grandmother risked her life gathering berries while predators watched, and you're upset because DoorDash forgot your extra sauce. But here's the part that should stop you. Cooking didn't just feed us, it gathered us. For 2 million years, the fire was the center. Everyone faced each other, everyone shared. Now our meals are faster than ever and lonelier. The average person eats almost half their meals alone. We gained convenience and lost the circle. The fire is still there. It's just hidden inside your stove. But the circle around it, that's optional now. And most of us choose not to. Every time you cook, even if it's just boiling pasta or frying an egg, you're doing something your ancestors spent millions of years figuring out. You're using fire to transform food, to unlock energy, to feed a brain that can read these words and understand where it came from. That's not small. That's the thread connecting you to every human who ever lived, all the way back to that first curious hominid who walked toward the flames instead of running from them. And we're just getting started. Next week, we're exploring what ancient humans did when they got sick, and the medicine they had will surprise you. If you want to understand where you really came from, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. This isn't just history, this is your story. See you next week.